Today, I'm breaking down how to perfect your golf swing in 3 simple steps. This swing works with any golf club. You can practice it anywhere. Let's get you hitting some great golf shots. So what we're going to do is start with the idea of swinging basically waist height with hands on the way through. So it's a little half swing drill system. And we're going to focus a lot on the product, meaning what comes out of the system on the way through, because what comes out on this way is determined by what happens this way. And often for lots of students, changing what happens this way changes this way without them thinking about it. They kind of reorder themselves to start hitting some better strikes. So position number 1 we need to look at, and when we study golf swings from the world's best to everyday golfers that we get a lot through at the JD Golf Academy, where they use a system where we measure people's performance, what we find is world-class players tend to get the butt end of the club as far away almost as possible as they can from their tummy. So they get good stretch out on the way through. What we see from amateurs is we see lots of instances where it's quite buckled and bunched up. They don't create that space on the way through. So point number 1 we're trying to hit is we need to be getting that club away from us on the way through. So with little half swings, so waist height to waist height, what I want you to do is just move into your follow through position and say to yourself, is the butt end of the club away from me as much as I can get it? Like, is it stretched out? What lots of people find is they come through, they crumple up, get stuck here. This is them either moving their body way too far forward and getting stuck. This is them pushing forward on the way down, then having no room and everything crumbling up, getting close and stuck. So a few little half swings. You can do this in the garden. You can do it with the ball, without. Waist height, freezing on the way through, and is that club away from you? Now what I find is getting everyday golfers to do a combination of lead hand version of this swing only, where it's very easy to stretch out, and then joining the trail hand on. So this syncing of the 2 drills, if you like. So trying to get that reach on the way through, just pausing for a second on the way through to check that it's away from you, and then letting the trail hand come on and join the ride is a great way if you're someone who buckles on the way through, because when you've got one hand on the club now feels a little too heavy. So what happens is the momentum of this little swing actually pulls them out and forwards and gets that club away from them. So point number 1 you're trying to hit. When you go to the range, you can just chip a few away like this if you need to. I'm just going to do a little half swing, just stop, and I'm trying to get this away from me. We don't want it buckled up. Now, point number 2, what we see from the world's best is we tend to see, as they get this stretch out on the way through, that their head stays back with that ball. So we don't see this kind of chase. And if you think about that, these 2 things then go together, because often for golfers, we see the buckle on the way through because their body is catching up or ahead of their hands, and the hands then just move into their body space. So as you do these little half swings, waist height, you're trying to get that reach out on the way through. At the same time, I want you to feel like your head stays back with the ball. This is something we see time and time again with the world's best. It's over and over again from our gears captures. Now, easy way to feel this, if you are someone who maybe stays back, crumbles, or the most common one is quite level hips, level shoulders, crunch through, just get your feet together. Put your feet almost touching, half swing again, trying to get that stretch on the way through, but feel how this makes you stay back with the ball. If I was the chase, that isn't going to work. Obviously in a full swing, you've got that stability, you've got that room to move across, but you can't just keep going. We need some kind of braking mechanism once you've got across to then hold back with the ball as the arms go through. This delivers an instant break because you can't not stop. If you don't, you are just going to fall over. So point 2, head back with the ball as point 1 is achieved, as you're trying to stretch this out. So you want good space, head back with the ball. And again, you could do this combining the 2 drills, one armed, feet together, feel like I'm stretching out, let the right hand come along, and then introduce some width for stance to get the same feeling. See how I'm bleeding them up through the drill? It's that kind of bleeding that's going to drill it into you. Think about the word, it's a drill. You're trying to repeat and repeat and repeat to make it subconscious movement. So the more you can blur them, and then finally again you could do that into a half shot or full shot, I'm just going to do the waist high, head back, stretching out, a little bit of ground first for me there, but I don't care about the strike so much. I just want those positions hit and felt. And number 3, we now need to think about when we hit this position on the way through, heads back with the ball, got the stretch out with the arms, is your trail shoulder lower than your lead? Are you tilting that trail shoulder down somewhere towards the ball? Again, what we see, people who struggle to keep head back, or people who keep head back too much, they tend to get big tilts coming this way. People who often, the most common one is to go forwards and then drag the club bunched up, heads forwards. This shoulder comes up, so very level shoulder turn. What we see from the world's best. We see this stretch, head back with the ball, but we also see the trail shoulder down to a point where they get even up here, where their shoulders are so more tilted than often average everyday golfers. So trail shoulder, as it comes through, ask yourself, is it pointing more down to the ground? Is it lower than that lead shoulder? Get the feeling of that. Simply put the club on your shoulders. I've got mine just off because the mic on, but you can literally put it on your shoulders if you want. And I'm going to try and feel that my club is pushing down so the head of the club covers the ball. This is a slight exaggeration of the feeling, but it works really well for getting the feeling of shoulder down. Now look also what happens if you do this. So level shoulder turn, club coming over that ball. That also leads to the second drill. Look how that pushes me forward. Remember, we're trying to keep our head back with the ball. Well, that tilt will allow that. So this coming down, that going up with that stretch, they're all seamlessly linked together. Now, the good thing with practicing all 3 of these things together, so these little half swings, stretch, head back, trail shoulder coming down, almost feeling like the trail shoulder's hitting that ball forward, is what you will find if you're someone who wants to come down on the downswing kind of from this direction, club gets way out in front of you, none of this is going to work. So you won't be able to achieve these positions because this is kind of encouraging these actions. So like I said at the start, by having the feeling of the product ending in the right place, often the method of getting there, so the ordering of backswing to downswing, starts for lots of golfers to reorganize, sorts itself out, because the agenda of the follow through is now in a different position. So what happens is players start getting the club coming naturally more from here without me telling them to do it. They get better shapes in their body because they are trying to keep their head back. Much better shapes and better low point control because they are trying to keep this shoulder down. Again, with this drill, you can do all 3. One hand, feet together, trail hand goes on, then the right shoulder's involved as well. And then you can work that into, again, little half swings, but if you're feeling confident, work them into some full swings. What you're going to find is your strikes improve, your consistency absolutely skyrockets, and you'll start shooting lower scores, which is exactly what we want. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button as well. If you want to find out how to hit your driver better, check this video out.